The night sky was quiet, filled with stars shining like diamonds. But something unusual happened above Earth. A small silver ship, shaped like a teardrop, entered the atmosphere with a blue flame. No one saw it, except a boy named Arjun, who was walking home through the woods inside the ship. Two girls sat in silence. They looked like humans, but they were not. Their real names were Kira and Zell. They were aliens from a planet called Lycera, punished for breaking a law in their galaxy. You must live among humans until you understand them. The council had said their ship landed softly in a dense forest outside the city. Smoke rose from the ground, and a strange light spread in the trees. Birds flew away, animals ran in fear. Kira stepped out first, her eyes glowing slightly. She looked around and took a deep breath. "The air is thick," she said, touching a leaf. Zell followed, quieter and more careful. "It's Earth," she whispered. So strange, so green, their mission was clear. Survive, blend in, learn, and earn redemption. But they had no weapons, no guide, and limited power. Worse, they looked like teenage human girls now. Their real forms were gone, hidden under biological suits. A small device on Kira's wrist blinked red. "No signal," she said. "We're disconnected from Lycera." Zell looked worried. That was not part of the plan. They had only a few tools. And the map of Earth was incomplete. Meanwhile, Arjun stood near the edge of the forest. He had seen the light fall from the sky. He thought it was a shooting star, or maybe something else. He was curious and walked closer, holding his flashlight, back in the forest. Kira and Zell argued softly. "We must find shelter before sunrise," said Kira. Zell nodded. "Let's go that way." They moved carefully, avoiding roads and cameras, but as they crossed a narrow stream, Kira suddenly froze. "I feel something," she said. A faint signal appeared on her wrist device. It was not from Lycera. It was something else, watching them from above. Zell looked up, her eyes scanning the sky. "Someone followed us," she whispered. "Or something," Kira added. They hurried deeper into the forest, unknown to them. Arjun had seen their shadows moving. He couldn't believe his eyes. "Who are they?" he thought. "Why are they barefoot in the woods at night?" He followed, staying quiet. The girls reached an abandoned wooden cabin. It was broken, but enough for the night. They entered, checked for danger, and sat down on the dusty floor. "We will stay here tonight," said Kira. Zell opened a small, glowing orb from her bag. It floated in the air, showing a map. "We are near a human village," she said. "We can start learning tomorrow." Just then, Arjun stepped on a dry branch. Crack! Both girls stood up. Alert! Kira pulled out a silver rod that sparked with light. "Who's there?" she called out. Arjun froze. He couldn't see them clearly, but he knew they saw him. He raised his hands. "Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you." Zell stepped out of the cabin, pretending to be normal. "Are you lost?" she asked, trying to copy human tone. Arjun lowered his hands, confused. You were in the forest," he said. "I saw the light. Was that you?" Kira stepped out too, hiding the device behind her. "We were camping," she lied. "Our car broke down." Arjun believed them for now. He offered help. "There's a road nearby, and my house is not far. You can rest there, if you want." The girls looked at each other. Zell nodded slightly. "Okay," said Kira. "Thank you." They followed him. The walk was quiet, except for the sound of leaves under their feet. Zell looked at Arjun with curiosity. He smiled without fear. Humans were strange, but interesting as they walked away. Far behind them, a small flying drone rose from the trees. It had no eyes, no face, just a red light, blinking slowly. It had found them, and it was not human. The morning sun rose slowly over the trees. Golden light touched the rooftops of a quiet town. Birds sang, dogs barked, and everything seemed normal. But for two alien girls, this was not an ordinary morning, Kira. And Zell sat quietly in a small guest room at Arjun's house. They had slept very little. The bed was soft, the air was strange, and their minds were full of questions. Zell looked out the window. Watching a car pass by, so many machines, she whispered. So much noise. Kira checked her wrist device again. Still no signal from Lysera. Only static and a strange pulse that came and went. Something is wrong, she said. We're not supposed to lose full connection. Zell turned. Maybe it's Earth's atmosphere. Or maybe someone is blocking it. Kira replied. Downstairs, Arjun was making breakfast. He didn't know who they truly were, but something about them felt different. Not just their clothes or quiet voices. There was something behind their eyes, something not human he brought. Toast, eggs, and milk to them. Zell stared at the food like it was art. Kira poked the toast with a fork. Confused? You've never had toast? Arjun asked, laughing a little. We don't eat this kind of food where we're from, Kira said carefully. Zell copied him, trying to chew and smile. It's warm, she said. Tastes like nothing, Arjun laughed. That's normal. He didn't push them with questions. He thought maybe they were from a village or another country. But his dog Rollo did not feel the same. Rollo barked the moment he saw them, his ears up, teeth showing tail stiff. He stood between Arjun and the girls, growling like he saw something evil. Rollo, stop it, Arjun said, pulling him back. He's never like this. Zell took a step back, her body tense. Animals can sense what humans can't, she said softly. Kira lowered her hand to her side, where her hidden energy rod was. Should we leave? She whispered. Zell shook her head. No, not yet. They followed Arjun to his backyard. There were plants, a small garden, and a wooden bench. Earth is beautiful, Zell said, touching a flower. Arjun smiled. It's boring here, but yeah. The flowers are nice. Kira was scanning everything quietly. Her device blinked again. This time, it picked up something nearby, a small signal alien, moving. She turned slowly and looked at the sky. A tiny dot moved above the clouds, almost invisible. It's watching, she said under her breath. Later, Arjun offered to take them to school. He thought they should meet more people. Zell agreed. We want to learn. Kira hesitated, but followed. At school, students stared at them. They looked normal. But something about them felt different. Too perfect, too calm. They spoke slowly, their eyes always scanning the room in science class. Kira finished an advanced equation in seconds. The teacher blinked. That's correct. Arjun looked at her, impressed. Where did you learn that? Kira paused, then said, from a book. Zell joined a music group. She touched a guitar for the first time, but when she played, the sound was flawless. Not just good, perfect. Students clapped, amazed, but she looked confused. I don't know how I did that. She whispered to Kira later. It felt like the instruments spoke to me. By lunch, the girls were already famous. Everyone wanted to talk to them, but the girls felt more alone than ever. Too much attention meant danger. Their mission was to blend in, not stand out. As they sat under a tree during lunch break, Zell leaned close to Kira. I don't feel like a prisoner anymore, she said. Kira looked at Arjun from a distance. He was joking with friends. Throwing a ball. I don't either, she replied. But we can't forget why we're here. Suddenly, Kira's wrist device vibrated. She looked down. A red mark appeared. Something had entered Earth's atmosphere again. Another ship, she said, not from Lysera. They stood quickly, pretending nothing was wrong, but inside, both felt the cold grip of fear. Someone else had come to Earth, and it wasn't friendly. As they walked back to class, they passed Arjun. He waved and smiled. Zell smiled back, but her heart was racing. She didn't know why, but she felt safe when he looked at her, and that scared her more than the unknown ship above. The days passed slowly, but something inside Kira and Zell began to change. They were no longer just exiles from a distant world. They were now students, strangers, and observers in a world full of emotions they never studied. Each morning, they walked to school with Arjunez. Zell liked how the wind felt on her face. Kira counted the cars, memorizing license plates and colors without knowing why. The sun felt stronger on their human skin. Every touch, sound, and smell was different from Lysera. Kira used her time in class to observe human behavior. She studied how students laughed, cried, and argued. She noticed that humans often said one thing and meant another. It was confusing. There were no emotions on Lysera, just function and duty. Zell, on the other hand, was beginning to feel more than curiosity. She liked music class. She liked Arjun's jokes. She liked the way humans helped each other, even when there was no benefit. One afternoon, they visited the local library. It was Zell's idea. The place was quiet, filled with paper books and soft lights. "Why do humans still use paper?" Kira asked. Zell smiled. "Maybe it feels more... real." Zell picked a book about Earth history. She sat for hours, flipping pages, wars, inventions, poetry. It was all too much. "Why do they fight so much?" she asked Kira. "Because they feel too much." Kira replied, "That's why." They survive. Outside, Arjun waited on his bike. He waved when he saw them. Zell waved back, and for the first time, her heart felt strange. A kind of tightness she didn't understand. She placed a hand on her chest, confused. "What is this feeling?" she whispered. Kira looked at her with concern. "You're becoming one of them," she said, not unkindly. That night, they stayed in Arjun's guest room again. He had told his parents they were from a remote area, studying for a few months. They believed him, mostly because the girls were polite, quiet, and smart. Kira activated her device silently under the blanket. She ran a scan. A nearby object, artificial, flying cold, was circling the town every night. Same signal. She murmured. Zell turned to her. "Is it the hunter?" Kira nodded slowly. "It's getting closer. Still." The next morning felt normal. The girls walked with Arjun to a small shop near school. He bought them snacks, explained what chips were. Zell ate one and smiled. "It tastes like crunch and salt." Arjun laughed. "That's the best description I've heard." For the first time, Kira felt something strange to trust. She had seen humans destroy, lie, and fail. But she had also seen kindness in simple moments. A boy helping his little sister. A girl sharing her umbrella. A teacher giving hope. To a student, back in class, something unexpected happened. Zell was asked to speak about her hometown. She froze, her mind raced. She didn't know what to say. She had never lived anywhere except space. Arjun jumped in. "They're from a mountain village near the north. She told me it's full of trees and waterfalls." Zell looked at him, grateful. The class clapped, and the teacher smiled. But Zell's hands were shaking. "Why did he help me?" she asked later. "Because you looked scared," he said, simply, that night. Zell dreamed for the first time in her life, not of stars or her planet, but of earth, forests, laughter, and a boy who smiled without reason. Meanwhile, Kira couldn't sleep. She stepped outside into the dark garden. Her device beeped louder now. She looked up and saw it, a small drone, high in the air, red light blinking. "It's here," she whispered. "Watching us." She activated a cloaking bubble around the house, just for 1 minute. The drone paused in air, then flew away. But not before sending out a signal. Somewhere far beyond Earth, something received it. Kira went back inside. She looked at Zell. Sleeping peacefully. She's too soft, Kira thought, too human. But something inside her knew she was changing too. Later that week, the school held a small cultural event. Music, dance, food, laughter filled the air. Zell danced with the others. Clapping and moving with joy, Kira stood in the back. Silent but watching. Even she smiled once. Just a little after the event, Arjun found Zell sitting alone. "Did you enjoy it?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "I think I like your world." He looked at her for a long moment. "You're not like anyone I've ever met," he said. Zell looked down. "That's because I'm not." He laughed, thinking it was a joke. But her heart felt heavy. How long could they hide the truth? How long before the world knew what they really were? The wind howled outside as the sky turned dark. Storm clouds gathered over the town, but something worse than thunder was coming. Something not human. Something with a mission, far from Arjun's house, deep in the nearby hills. A figure stepped out of a dark portal, tall, armored, and silent. It scanned the ground with glowing blue eyes. The hunter had arrived. Its mission: locate and eliminate the two exiled girls. It had no emotions, no doubts, no mercy, just a command. And the clock was ticking. Back in town, Kira sat alone in Arjun's garage. She had opened her wrist device again. The signal was strong now. The hunter was on Earth, closer than ever before. Zell was upstairs, laughing softly with Arjun and his little sister. They were playing a board game, something called Snakes and Ladders. Zell didn't understand all the rules, but she liked how the humans smiled even when they lost. She liked how they cheered each other on. Kira closed her eyes. These feelings were dangerous. Zell was becoming attached. Kira had to remind her of the truth that night. While Arjun's family was asleep, Kira pulled Zell outside. The garden was wet from rain, crickets chirped, and the moon glowed faintly. "He's here," Kira said coldly. Zell turned serious. "The hunter?" Kira nodded. "He landed yesterday. He's close." Zell looked down. "What should we do?" "We finish the mission," Kira replied. "Then we leave." Zell didn't respond. Her silence said everything. "You're getting too close to him," Kira said. Zell looked away. "He's kind. He helped us. He didn't have to." "That doesn't matter," Kira said. "He's human. We are not." Zell whispered. "Maybe we're becoming something else." Kira felt a sudden spike of anger. She grabbed Zell's arm. "Don't forget why we were sent here." Zell pulled away, her voice sharper now. "I remember," she said, "but I also see more now. I see friendship, laughter, music. I feel things I never felt before." Kira stared at her, confused and hurt. "This world is not our home," she said. "But maybe it could be," Zell whispered. For a long moment, they said nothing. Only the sound of leaves moving in the wind filled the space between them. The next morning, strange things began to happen. Crows circled the school building, phones glitched. Security cameras stopped working for 10 full minutes. Kira's device warned her. A trace of alien energy was found in the school's hallway. "It's him," she said. Zell felt a chill down her back. "He's watching us." In the middle of math class, Arjun passed a note to Zell. "Are you okay?" "You seem worried," she wrote back. "I'm just tired," but she knew that was a lie. She was scared. Later that day, as school ended, Arjun offered to walk them home, but Kira refused. "You should go home alone today," she said. He looked confused. "Why?" "Just trust me," she replied. As Arjun walked away, he turned around one last time. Zell gave him a small wave. She wanted to say so much, but couldn't find the words that evening. The hunter finally made contact. Kira was alone in the forest clearing. She had gone to place a signal blocker, hoping to confuse him, but he was already there, waiting. He stepped out from behind the trees. His voice cold and metallic. "You've failed your mission," he said. "You've gone soft." Kira stood tall. "We're still observing. You've made emotional contact with the subjects. The hunter said, "That is against protocol." Kira raised her rod, ready to fight, but the hunter moved fast, too fast. He knocked the rod from her hand and pinned her down. "You were never meant to return," he whispered. "You were both sent here to disappear." Zell arrived just in time, her hands glowing with hidden energy. "Let her go," she shouted. The hunter turned, surprised by her strength. She blasted him with a pulse of raw power, sending him flying backward. Kira gasped for air. "You? You used your core energy," Zell nodded. "Breathing hard, he would have killed you." The hunter stood again, damaged but not defeated. "I will return," he said, vanishing into the shadows. His message was clear. Next time, he would not hesitate. Back in Arjun's house, Zell helped Kira clean her wounds for the first time. Kira looked at her with true emotion. "You saved me," she said. "You would have done the same," Zell replied. But Kira wasn't sure anymore. Something was changing between them and Earth. And between Zell and Arjun, they had come as prisoners. But now, they were something more, something dangerous, something alive. And the worst part, they didn't want to leave anymore. Rain fell softly over the rooftops. It washed the dust from the trees and filled the air with silence. Inside Arjun's house, everything seemed calm. But beneath the quiet, the truth was rising like a wave, waiting to crash. Zell sat near the window, her hand on the glass. Her eyes followed the falling raindrops. Each one reminded her of the tears she could never cry back home. But now she understood why humans wept. Emotion was no longer strange. It was real. And it was growing inside her. Kira stood in the hallway, fixing her broken device. She had said nothing since their fight with the hunter. Not even thank you, but Zell didn't mind. She knew Kira was scared, even if she never said it. Later that day, Arjun invited them to visit someone. "A friend of my grandfather," he said. "He's a scientist. He's a little strange, but really smart." Kira hesitated, but Zell agreed. "We need help," she whispered. "Even if we don't trust him." They followed Arjun through the narrow streets of the town. They passed old shops, flickering lights, and barking dogs. At the edge of the city stood a large house, half covered in vines. Its windows were dark, but a warm light flickered inside Arjun. Knocked on the door 3 times. A moment passed, then a voice spoke. "Password." Arjun grinned. "There is no password." The door creaked open slowly. Inside stood a tall man with wild white hair and sharp eyes. He wore 2 different socks and a lab coat covered in ink. "This is Professor K," Arjun said. The man looked at Kira and Zell and tilted his head. "You're not from around here?" he said without blinking. Kira tensed, her hand moving slightly toward her belt. Zell stepped forward. "Who are you?" "I'm someone who saw your kind long before you were born," he replied. He led them into a room filled with machines, blinking lights, and old notebooks on one wall. There was a photo, black and white, of a strange object in the sky. It looked just like their ship. Professor K pointed at it. "That came in 1987, he said. "Cracked the sky open like an egg. No one believed me, but I remember what I saw." Zell walked closer. "You've seen aliens before?" she said. He nodded. "Yes, but none stayed." He turned toward them and lowered his voice. "But you too. You're not just visitors. You're part of something deeper." Kira stared at him, confused. "What do you mean?" The professor typed something on an old keyboard. A large screen lit up, showing a map of Earth. Lines and pulses moved across it. "Lyceron energy patterns," he said, "buried in this planet." Since before humans walked upright, Kira stepped forward. "That's impossible." He looked at her calmly. "Is it?" "Your kind might not have created Earth," he said. "But Earth was touched by your people long ago." Zell whispered. "That's why our powers feel strange here." Professor K nodded. "Exactly. This planet is not primitive. He said, it's protected, and some humans have changed because of it. He turned to Arjun, like this one. Kira's eyes widened. What do you mean? The professor held up a small scanner. He waved it near Arjun's arm. The device beeped. Showing Laceran symbols, Zell gasped. He's connected. Arjun looked confused. What's going on? Zell placed a hand on his shoulder. You're not alien, she said softly, but something in your blood reacts to our tech. Professor K smiled. His family tree may hold the key to something greater. A hybrid memory, he said, or a dormant gene activated by your presence. Kira turned away, shaking her head. This changes everything. We can't just leave now. Suddenly, the professor's lights flickered. All machines stopped. A sharp sound filled the room, like static in the air. The professor froze. He found us. He whispered. A screen turned red, showing a nearby signal, the hunter. He was closing in, but not just on them, on Arjun. He wants the boy, Kira said. Zell stood up fast. We won't let him take him. Professor K opened a hidden door. Go to the basement, he said. There's a shielded room there. They rushed downstairs as the sound of metal footsteps echoed outside. Zell looked at Arjun. He was shaking, but still trying to stay brave. You're stronger than you think, she told him. He looked into her eyes and nodded. Kira placed her hand on the wall, activating a force field. Above them, the door burst open. The hunter had arrived, but this time, they weren't running. This time, they knew the truth. Earth wasn't just their prison. It was part of them now, and they would protect it, no matter the cost. Asterisk, the basement shook as the hunter stepped into the house above. Wood cracked, metal groaned, and dust fell from the ceiling. Kira stood by the shield wall, her hand glowing with energy. Zell kept her body close to Arjun's, shielding him. Professor K tapped buttons on a hidden panel, trying to hide their signal. We can't stay here long. Kira said. Zell looked at Arjun, his face pale, his eyes wide. He's terrified. She whispered, he should be, Kira replied. The hunter doesn't show mercy. The shield flickered for a moment. A sound pierced through the wall. Deep echo of the hunter's steps. Getting closer. We fight, Zell said, her voice steady. Kira looked at her in shock. We run, she replied. That's what we were trained to do. Zell stepped forward. Not anymore. The hunter's voice cut through the floor like ice. You've broken your code, he said. You've bonded with humans, Professor. Kay backed away slowly. I'll activate the escape tunnel, he said. Zell turned to Kira. We're not running. For the first time, Kira saw something different in her sister's eyes. Not fear, not duty. Something else. Conviction. I'm staying with him, Zell said, nodding toward Arjun. Earth matters now. Kira hesitated. Her mind was full of memories, her training, her punishment, her orders, but also Arjun's kindness, the school, the laughter, the music, and Zell's smile. The door above shattered. The hunter dropped into the basement like a shadow. His armor hummed with dark energy. His eyes scanned the room. Locking on Arjun. You do not belong in their world, he said, pointing at Zell. She does now, Kira said sharply. Stepping forward, the hunter raised his arm, a glowing blade forming from his wrist. Zell activated her own energy field. It was weak, flickering. She had already used much of her power, but she stood tall. I will not let you hurt him, she said. The hunter charged. Kira jumped in front. Blocking the strike, her rod clashed against his blade. Sparks flew. The room shook again, machines exploding from the impact. Zell helped Arjun to safety, shielding him with her own energy. Go with Professor K, she told him. But I now, she insisted. Arjun looked into her eyes. He didn't understand everything, but he knew one thing. He didn't want to lose her. He ran with the professor into the tunnel, disappearing into darkness. Kira, fought fiercely. But the hunter was stronger. He threw her against the wall, leaving her dazed. He turned toward Zell, raising his blade. But Zell closed her eyes and whispered something. In her native language, a wave of light burst from her chest, her core energy. It struck the hunter and pushed him back. He screamed, his armor cracking. But the light also burned through Zell's hands. She fell to her knees, shaking. Kira crawled to her side. "You used too much," she said. Zell smiled weakly. "I had." 2. The hunter stood again, barely holding his weapon. "You would destroy yourself for them." Zell nodded. Yes. Kira stood, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. "If she falls, I rise," she said, with one final strike. Kira aimed her rod at the ceiling above the hunter. It collapsed, crushing him under concrete and steel. Silence. Followed just the sound of dust settling and Zell's weak breathing. Kira held her sister close. "You chose Earth," she said. Zell smiled. "No, I chose love, outside." Arjun and Professor K waited by a hill. Suddenly, a beam of light shot up from the ruined house. The ground trembled, and then silence. Kira appeared, carrying Zell in her arms. Arjun ran to them. "Is she?" "She's alive," Kira said. "She saved all of us." Zell opened her eyes slowly. "Hi," she whispered. Arjun laughed with tears in his eyes. "You're crazy," he said. "Maybe," she replied, "but I'm still here." Later that night, under the stars, the girls sat with Arjun and the professor. A fire burned in front of them. The danger had passed for now, but a bigger question remained. What now? Arjun asked. "You can't go back, can you?" Kira looked up at the sky. "No," she said. "We've broken the code." Professor K nodded. "Then you stay here," he said. "But you must remain hidden. There are others who won't." "Forgive what you've done." Zell held Arjun's hand. "We'll make a life," she said. One step at a time, they had come to Earth as punishment. They had broken rules, fought enemies, and made impossible choices. But now, they had something far greater than redemption. They had purpose and love. The sun rose over the town, slow and golden. For the first time in weeks, there was peace. No chases, no drones, no alarms, just the sound of birds, soft wind, and morning light. Kira stood on the rooftop of Professor K's workshop. She looked up at the sky, where her home once waited. Now, it felt farther than ever. Inside, Zell rested on a couch, her energy still low. Arjun sat beside her, holding her hand. They had stopped hiding from each other. No more pretending, no more lies, only truth. Strange, deep, and powerful. Professor K worked quietly in the background. Aki was rebuilding a damaged device, one of the girls' core signal beacons. "If this works," he said, "you might be able to contact Lysera." Zell looked at Kira. Kira gave a small nod. "We need to speak with them," she said. Arjun looked worried. "You're not thinking of going back," he said softly. Zell squeezed his hand. "We don't want to," she said, "but we have." To end this, that night, under the stars, Kira activated the repaired beacon. A soft blue beam shot into the sky. Silent and invisible to human eyes, the signal would reach Lysera in seconds. Now, all they could do was wait. The response came faster than expected. A small hologram formed in the air. It was the High Council, their faces cold and still. "Kira." "Zell." The voice echoed. "You have broken protocol. You bonded with humans, fought a hunter, and hid your status." Kira stepped forward. "We survived," she said. "We learned what you asked us to learn. But what we found was more than knowledge." Zell stood too, her voice soft but strong. "We found love," she said, "compassion, choice, meaning. You were not sent to find meaning." The voice replied, "You were sent to understand humanity." "And now we do," Kira answered. Better than you ever could. The council was silent for a moment, then one of them spoke. You have become something new. Zell held Arjun's hand again. Kira looked at the stars. We won't return, she said. We choose to stay here. You cannot hide forever. The council warned. There will be others, worse than the hunter. We're ready, Kira replied. And we won't be alone. The hologram faded. The connection was closed the next morning. Professor K found something unexpected. In the beacon's data, a message hidden in the return signal. It's not from the council, he said. It's from someone else. He opened the file. It was a video, a face from Lysera, smiling softly. It was their mother, long thought. Gone, my daughters. The message said, if you ever receive this, know that I believed in your hearts. You are more than soldiers. You are life. Zell cried for the first time. Kira placed a hand on her back, silent and steady. The message ended with a set of coordinates. Somewhere far from Lysera, an unknown planet, a sanctuary, a possible safe future if Earth ever turned against them. They had a choice now, run, hide, or live. Weeks passed, and life slowly returned to normal. Zell and Kira blended in. They helped Professor K with his research. They walked to school with Arjun. They watched movies, learned jokes, and celebrated simple things. But they stayed alert. They kept their powers hidden. They trained quietly in the forest, and they watched the skies. One evening, Arjun asked the question again. Would you ever leave me? Zell smiled. If I do, she said, it won't be by choice. Arjun looked at her with steady eyes. Then I'll find you, he said, no matter where you go. Kira, standing nearby, didn't interrupt. For the first time, she believed. It too, that love, real, stubborn human love, could cross galaxies. And so, the two alien girls stayed. Not as spies, not as prisoners, but as something else. As protectors, as friends, as part of Earth. They still carried secrets. They still feared the next threat. But they also carried hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, they had changed more than themselves. Maybe they had changed Lysera too. The stars above continued to shine. But for Kira and Zell, Earth had become their brightest light. They came to be punished, but they stayed because they found something worth fighting for. Not a mission, not a planet, but a boy, a bond, and a place they could finally call home.